He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
All right, it's Wednesday, July 8th, 2009. And with us 5 minutes into the next hour, so a full hour of transmission time here, Dr. Bob Bowman. He's a former director of Advanced Space Programs Development for the U.S. Air Force in the Ford and Carter administrations, and a former United States Air Force lieutenant colonel with 101 combat missions. He holds a Ph.D. in aeronautics and nuclear engineering from the California Institute of Technology. And it goes, despite his involvement with space programs and defense, he emerged as an early public critic of the Strategic Defense Initiative because it was a decapitation offensive weapon system during the Ronald Reagan administration. And on the McLeod News Hour, he called it the ultimate military lunacy, easily overwhelmed and vulnerable, only good as a first strike. Bowman founded the Institute for Space and Security Studies and its publication, Space and Security News, in 1983. And it just goes on and on. He's a author, researcher. He's been active in Veterans for Peace, Vietnam Veterans Against the War, Episcopal Diocese of Washington, Project Censored winner as well, San Francisco Bay Guardian. I mean, it just goes on and on. He's also worked on depleted uranium during and after the Gulf War, and he's run for Congress and president. And, of course, our historic C-SPAN live event. I couldn't believe it when C-SPAN said we're going to carry your event out in Los Angeles. I guess Charlie Sheen being involved excited them. And so that was one of the first big 9/11 Truth pieces to ever be aired on television. So he's also been instrumental in 9/11 Truth. It's good to have Dr. Bob Bowman in with us for the next hour. Bob, good to see you.
Hey, thank you. Good to be here.
You bet. It's good seeing your wife again. Okay, tell folks a little bit about Dr. Bob Bowman, and then let's get into the state of the world. Biden saying, hey, Israel, green light, go ahead and hit Iran. Where you see that going? Really, the whole two-party system. Do you agree with me that we've got to shatter this whole left-right idea because the power structure just keeps sharing power between the false left and right, and so we never really get a true revolution or change? Or, I mean, you told me you've seen the Obama deception. What's your take on the whole state of affairs?
Okay, well, I agree with you absolutely. And what I've been doing for about the last 9 years is trying to shatter this left-right division, because we, the American people, have been artificially divided by the powers that be, the global elite, the global robber barons, if you will. They have artificially divided us into liberal and conservative. They've taken their one party and divided it into two parts and split up the hot button issues. You know, you guys be for abortion, you guys be for against it, you guys be for gun control, you be against it, you be for school prayer, you be against it. The thing that makes all of those issues in common, besides the fact that the federal government probably has no business mucking around with them in the first place, is that the global elite could care less how it comes out. Those issues do not affect their bottom line. So they really don't care. They don't care which party wins in general. Ever since John F. Kennedy, every nominee of both the Republican and Democratic parties has been a member of the Trilateral Commission and handpicked by them for the nomination of their party. JFK was the last nominee of either party not to be a member of the Trilateral Commission. Of course, we know what happened to him. We have to end this artificial division. We have to bring the American people together, left and right, and we've been very successful in that in the last few years. Many of the events on my speaking tour each year are co-sponsored by the Green Party and the Libertarian Party. They're co-sponsored by the Ron Paul meetups and the Dennis Kucinich meetups. I mean, this is really coming together, and it's working. And these people are recognizing that they have common interest, that both the left and the right have been alienated and mistreated by our government and the powers that be.
Well, I want to get into some solutions and also talk about what's happening in the current world and your view on Barack Obama. But addressing the viewers out there, Bob, can you explain to them how the two-party system became this divide-and-conquer mechanism? Because people still email me and call me and say, now explain to me how the two parties are controlled, or explain to me no matter who gets in office, the consolidation of power happens, the corporate looting happens. Yeah. I mean, break that down for folks. Well,
I mean, it goes way back to time of Thomas Jefferson. He warned us about the power of corporations. And Teddy Roosevelt did it, and on, right through Dwight David Eisenhower, who warned us about the military-industrial complex, which is essentially the same thing. Now, the whole problem got a lot worse in the 19th century when the railroads somehow got a Supreme Court justice to talk about corporate personhood. And the myth of corporate personhood has gone on to this day and has been parlayed by the corporations into a First Amendment free speech right to spend as much money as they want buying up politicians and buying up votes with their corporate-controlled media. Now, the next real big acceleration of this fascist trend happened under Reagan, when they got rid of the FCC ban on ownership of multiple media outlets and allowed these media conglomerates to get a monopoly. Until now, we've got almost every major media outlet being controlled by 6 multinational corporations with interlocking boards of directors, all of which are in bed with the weapons manufacturers, the oil companies, and all the others who are running things. And because of that, they collude every 4 years to work with the trilateralists and Bilderbergers and Council on Foreign Relations to make sure that their hand-picked nominees get the nomination of the Republican and Democratic parties. And once they can do that, then they don't care who wins the general election. They know one of their guys is going to get it. It's a choice between Tweedledee and Tweedledum, in some cases Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. But that's how they do it, essentially. And then Congress, of course, who the Constitution really gives the power to. Congress has been bought and paid for by the K Street lobbyists, the corporate lobbyists, to the point where almost all the members of Congress, with the exception of people like Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich and a few others, almost all of them are bought and paid for and have abdicated their responsibility to Dick Cheney's invention of the unitary executive, in other words, the imperial presidency. And since they have their guy under their thumb in the presidency, and the Congress becomes immaterial. And so what you have is our government under direct control of the corporations. We have energy policy being made by Enron. We have agricultural policy being made by Archer Daniels Midland and Monsanto. Defense policy being made by the weapons manufacturers. It goes on and on. Almost every regulatory agency in the government is headed by an executive of the corporations that they're supposed to regulate. So we have complete corporate control of government at the highest levels. And that's exactly what Benito Mussolini defined as fascism.
And now,
you should know.
And I wanted to ask you about this, and you can repeat that, I've interrupted you, or add any points. Now that they use so-called free market terms and freedom of speech to rig the game and buy everything up and consolidate and create these oligopolies or these cartels working as a monopoly, I guess monopoly capitalism would be the term. Now they're doing a mopping up operation in the name of stopping extremists and racists from having free speech. The House has passed the hate crimes bill that actually states if the government says you hurt somebody's feelings or what you said might lead to someone doing something violent, even if you didn't call for it. I've never seen a hate crime bill this strong. That has now passed the House. The cyberbullying thing says the same deal. We have the New York Times saying we need internet gatekeepers. We need to, the CEO, Rupert Murdoch's CEO said 2 days ago, arrest bloggers, put them in jail. So they're saying we don't get any free speech. So now that we're actually getting an alternative voice and challenging them, now that their hypocrisy and imperial hubris is so obvious, they're moving to block our free speech. Can you comment on the empire's consolidation?